I was somewhat fascinated by, you may have seen previous interviews of DJ Envy and his beautiful wife, Gia. They have written a book, and they're talking about, in part, the infidelity that occurred. And I know salacious topics are, for a lot of people, the order of the day. But there's a part of the story that I thought was interesting, and it kind of aligns with some of the things that we're talking about on this journey of self-care. And I thought it would be great to wrap some of those things together in discussion. That it's about, for a 10-year period, DJ Envy says that his wife was faking it. And he was referring to their sexual intercourse as a couple, that she was for 10 years earlier on in their marriage faking it. And some other people, including Rick Ross, Roger, as he says, he would never fake it, but he doesn't know the way that he knows that a woman is not faking it is by her response. I'll keep it PG. He kind of goes a little bit farther on the Breakfast Club. But I wanted to raise this thought as we're walking through this month of April, almost to the end of the month. And if you want to join us inside a messenger room this weekend, we'll be inside of Love and Stuff talking about our self-care journey. This month, we're talking about setting healthy boundaries. It's about learning to say no to things and learning to say yes to things. The things that you should say no to and the things you should say yes to. Hello, Sandra Beavers. I hope you will click share. I see people coming in and out. And I think one of those things is not to engage for the purpose of engaging in an activity that doesn't serve you and thereby doesn't serve the relationship that you're in. So I want you to ask yourself, am I faking it? Now, I know immediately you're going to, ladies, maybe, yeah, there were times I did. Or, are you kidding me? There might be times, fellas, I don't know if it's as easy for a man to fake. I think you're going to tell me if it is. And I know there is a whole cauldron of people saying, what are you talking about? People aren't supposed to be doing this stuff. I get you. And I acknowledge that you're right. Under a certain set of circumstances, people might not be engaged in intercourse. But the reality is people are. And so what I'm asking is for you to drop in the comments, have you ever faked it? And does that serve you and your relationship well? Because really, I think it means that you're just being present for an act, a transaction, and not really being a part of an engagement, a part of a connection, right? Though you're connecting. DJ Envy said in one interview, his idea was that sex was this. And so he kept doing that because what it had informed him about sex was pornography, which I will say a lot of young black men, especially black men, but probably of other races, are informed. Their sexuality is informed by what they see, not only in movies, right, but what they see in pornographic material, right? And so DJ Envy says that's what, that's where he got his idea of what sex was supposed to be about. And so that's what he did. And for 10 years, his wife faked it. And I kind of wanted to bring that in any area of your life where you are in a relationship, friendship, marriage, sexship, situationship, or as one preacher would say, situationship. If you are faking the moves, if you're faking the moans, if you're faking to get through the transaction, at some point you should be asking yourself, am I serving me well and thus the relationship well if what I am giving to it or allowing to get from it is inauthentic, right? If you're just faking it. Thank you, Lena Brown, for joining. Click share and tag someone to join us. We're having all kind of technical issues, but I'm relying on you all to help spread the word. We aren't with our normal tools and tricks to help us invite folks for having challenges with the Facebook page, and Facebook promises me they're working on it, but the video must go on. And so I'm just rehashing a piece of DJ Envy's conversation, which I cannot play for you. I don't own the rights to it, but I certainly can't play it in this way. In one of the interviews that he had with Tamron Hall and with his wife, with Tamron Hall, he talked about his wife faking orgasms for 10 years. And that stood out to me because we're in the month of April in the Love and Stuff community. Inside of Love and Stuff is all about setting healthy boundaries. And how do those two connect? Here's how I want you to see them connecting. If you're engaging in something that is an inauthentic expression of your affection, your love, your desire for something or someone else, you're faking, right? And you should ask yourself, is that a healthy boundary? Is it serving me? And is it serving the other person? If in a transactional relationship, and I use that word transaction very broadly, as you see, if it isn't bringing something that nourishes you, fulfills you, and you have less to give to the other person, are you really serving that relationship well? And that's one way to set healthy boundaries. It's to say, I'm going to engage in a conversation that clarifies my intent when I'm being asked to give something that doesn't serve me. And to their credit, DJ Envy and his wife were apparently doing very well now, had a conversation, talked about it, right? And said, this isn't serving me well. And I challenge you, even though we are in the waning days of this month, as we're on this 12-month self-care journey, to begin to set healthy boundaries and have the conversation or conversations with the people that you are in relationship with, where you are engaged in, you're in transactional interaction that doesn't serve you, that is inauthentic. You're faking. And if you're faking, you're adding more stress to your life about whether or not your inauthentic expression can really be detected. In some cases it can, and in some cases maybe the person hasn't connected deeply enough with you to understand that you're faking, right? You are good at faking. But I will imagine after the faking event, I'm going to call it that there is a void, right? Because out of it, you convinced the other person, but did you really get out of it what you sought to get out of it? I'm saying that because I've never been in a situation like that where I don't think it's as easy for a man to fake it as it is for a woman. So I'm looking to hear from brothers who say, yes, it is. There might be some tools and tricks to the trade. I don't know. But Rick Ross says, no, you don't fake it. And he doesn't think that there's any woman that faked it with him, is kind of what he says based on her response to him. And that's the clean version. I'm putting these together because I think it's a boundary issue. I think if you set healthy boundaries with the person that you are in covenant with, in love with, in situationship with, and like with, to say this intercourse, this exchange does not serve me, and therefore ultimately it doesn't serve you as well as it could serve you. That you are positioning yourself to do what is a part of a book that in part I would promote to you called Radical Candor. It's a great read by Kim Scott. And this Radical Candor has kind of these 4 quadrants that it talks about. The quadrants are what is called ruinous empathy, which I had my screen so I could show you. Radical candor, manipulative insincerity, and obnoxious aggression. And I seek in these few minutes to be able to share that with you, that you might take it and apply it to your healthy boundaries that you're setting, so that you're never in inauthentic relationship where you are faking. You shouldn't fake a relationship till you make it. In a relationship, you should set healthy boundaries about the activities and the engagements and intercourse and interactions that serve you well so that you can serve the other person well also, well as well, right? Ruinous empathy, because on this quadrant, and again, I apologize, I don't have my tools that I would normally show it to you. On this axis, there is care personally. And this axis is challenge directly. Okay? In setting healthy boundaries, your goal is to care personally and challenge directly. So I'm kind of pointing to my right, your left, or however we are situated, right? And the opposite or worst that you could do is not care personally and not challenge directly, which is what's considered manipulative insincerity. It's when you use people to get out of them what you want without really caring about them. Anybody ever seen that or experienced that? Where someone who pretends to care really doesn't, so that he or she can get out of you what he or she wants from you. That's manipulative insincerity. That's someone who says, yes, you look good in that yellow dress. Now come on, take it off so we can go and do the zoom, zoom, zoom. Well, really, they don't care about you personally, but there's something from you that they want to get. So they're not challenging you to say you could look better, you could be better, whatever it is, right? There is no direct challenge and there is no personal care. They don't care for you personally. It's something you have that they want to get from you. That's what manipulative insincerity, Kim Scott says from her book, Radical Candor. Now, you could challenge somebody directly, but not care personally. You could tell somebody, I just want to have sex with you because it feels good and you're present. Now, people might not say that in that fashion, but people's actions often do, don't they? They challenge you to give them what they want, even though they don't care about what you want. This is the area where a lot of faking can happen, where someone does not challenge back directly to someone they care about personally. You are on the receiving end of this. If you care personally about somebody, but they're not honoring your space, your body, your tempo. You care personally, but you're not challenging them directly. It's the exact opposite of someone who challenges you directly, but does not care personally. They don't even fake the funk. They call you at 3 a.m. only, right? They get up out of the bed right after. Or they leave right after the transaction is completed. Maybe it's not sex. Maybe it's something else. Whatever they're seeking to get from you, they're upfront to tell you, but they don't care what you want. You are on the opposite end of that. If you care about that person personally, but you refuse to or don't feel empowered to challenge him or her directly. That, my friends, is called ruinous empathy. It's where you care about that person and you like that person, you feel like you love that person, but you can't summon the courage to tell them, you're not honoring my body. You're not honoring my personhood. You are defiling who I am. You're disrespecting who I am. But you give in to what they challenge you directly for. It's very transactional for them, though you want to attach all of these other things, though most of them seem to be elusive and elusive to this transaction. He's spending some time with me, so he must love me. And so you fake it because you care personally. You want to be connected to him or her, but it doesn't serve your personhood. Radical candor, which is the last part of the quadrant, is what we all should strive to be. It is to challenge directly where we care personally. Challenge directly means, you know what, we are in this transaction every day, every week, every Friday, or as DJ Envy's wife said, for 10 years. I care personally about having this interaction with you, but it doesn't serve my personhood. It doesn't fill me up. It doesn't bring me joy. It doesn't satisfy me. It doesn't pleasure me. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me feel whole. It doesn't make me feel your partner. I don't want to fake it. That is where radical candor transforms relationships and sets healthy boundaries. It's where you take back your permission to say, I'm not just going to engage in an act of any kind that is inauthentic. I'm only going to engage in an act that fulfills my personhood and is in alignment rather with the healthy boundaries that I set. And you have a right to set them. And that's what radical candor is all about. Really setting these healthy boundaries around what you personally care, that you can challenge directly, that you can say, no, I'm not going to fake an orgasm. I'm not going to fake an interaction. I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to fake it because here's the boundary. And you get to set those boundaries and move those boundaries and negotiate those boundaries. And when someone comes up against those boundaries, you get to leave them right there and retreat, because you cannot control the actions of another person, but you can control how you respond, right? And you can say, because you are brushing up against this boundary of meaningless sex that doesn't fulfill me, for those of you that might be in a similar position that DJ Envy and his wife were, we're not going to do that. I'm going to, instead of 10 years of meaningless sex, I'm going to take 10 days to teach you how to make fulfilling sex to me, right? I'm going to set a healthy boundary. Or if you're saying, I'm not going to be engaged in all of the commitment of a covenant relationship unless you fulfill the parts of the covenant. Here's my boundary. Healthy boundaries challenge directly where you care personally. So I want you to consider your life as we continue this journey, and we're layering on from month to month in our journey. We started in January with sleep. The best start to your day in life is the appropriate amount of rejuvenation, of refueling, recharging, of being at equilibrium, which I believe is another word for peace, being at balance and being at rest, to bring your body in sync with that, right? And then we moved to February and we talked about eating right, and we'll continue to layer on sleep and eating right. What you should put in your body and why it matters. How your body systems work together, and how to help them work together for you through what you eat. How 80% of what you eat should be for nourishment, and 20% of what you eat should be for personal satisfaction. Two simple buckets that if we could master and manage better, we'd have a better approach to self-care. 80% of what you eat because it nourishes you. And 20% of what you eat because it satisfies some craving, it satisfies some flavor, some specific nuance that you like. Try those two buckets. Try it for a week. Setting these healthy boundaries so that you're not faking it. And when you're going out to eat with somebody and you're taking the representative and saying, oh, I just have a salad, that's faking it if that's not what you really do, right? But if you have an 80-20 bucket, right, it might be what you do, but it might not be what you do, right? It's an 80-20 bucket, right? Then we went into March. We marched into March with exercise, fitness, and physical activity. And we had Corey from Ready to Love, who joined us inside of Love and Stuff and gave us a 6-minute workout challenge and talked to us about creating for our own selves, getting our own assessment and creating a physical fitness plan for ourselves. And here we are in April talking about setting healthy boundaries. And I suspect that there are many people like DJ Envy's wife who are faking transactions in relationships, sexual or otherwise, year after year after year, month after month after month, day after day after day, because they are not living in radical candor. They are not setting healthy boundaries that challenge the persons that they care deeply about, care personally about, that these boundaries challenge them directly. So I challenge you, if you are in relationship of any kind and the transactions of that relationship are inauthentic to you and don't serve you well, you are faking it. Now, the goal is to have communication with the other party in that relationship to say, here is what serves my personhood well in this relationship. That I want more than transactions. I want engagement that connects us as two human beings for the betterment of ourselves and each other. Because you're not going to wholly serve someone else or give to someone else if it isn't giving to you. It's inauthentic to do that. It should serve you. Even if it serves you to serve them, there should be some fulfillment in your service. And it shouldn't be you going through the act as a matter of duty, or you're going through the act as a matter of custom, a matter of habit, maybe better said, than out of joy, out of the joy of being in relationship with that person or persons, right? It should serve you. So set healthy boundaries to do that. And we all should strive to live in radical candor. I described a moment ago about ruinous empathy, and I wanted to go back there because I believe that so many people have not given themselves permission. And sometimes you have to give yourself permission. That when you are with someone who is aggressive or who challenge directly, that you shrink. And that you put your needs as subservient to theirs or secondary to theirs. And in doing so, when you don't challenge directly, you position yourself to not get your needs met and to have unhealthy boundaries. You and I are more likely to seek outside of our relationships what we need if we aren't in our relationships receiving what we need and verbalizing, communicating about the lack of that need. Why is that? Because when you're out of balance and you see something that looks like what you need, you'll give your self permission to get it from someone who seems to want to give it, instead of get it from someone who you personally care about giving it. That's why I say you got to give yourself permission to give your words voice and to give your voice a place in the relationship to say, this is what I need. And that's what happens with ruinous empathy. You allow people to just do what they do and you say it'll get better. It'll change. And it doesn't change because you haven't communicated what your healthy boundaries are. Whatever those boundaries are, be they sexual, physical, mental, you got to communicate what you need. You have to communicate it. You can't say, well, I thought you would know that I was faking it. DJ Envy says his wife was faking it for 10 years and he was not aware because his orientation to sex was based on his consumption of pornographic content. So he thought sex meant this. If that's graphic, I apologize. He thought that that's what that meant. When in fact, what it meant is it was just his myopic view of sex and not really about the person that he was in the sexual relationship with. And again, this isn't just sex, but it is about the inauthentic expression in response to someone else's expression. And that expression could be from someone who does not care personally about what your needs are, or who doesn't challenge you directly about what your needs are. So the conversation could be, this isn't fulfilling for me this way. I love you. I care about you. But this does not serve me well. Here's why, and here is what would. Now, it could put pressure on the other person to do things differently than they've ever experienced before. But that's a part of the development of any kind of relationship, right? That you're in a relationship, and I'm not here just talking about husband and wife, boo and bae, bae and bae, boo and boo, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm talking about any relationship where there is a transaction, there's an exchange of love, an exchange of time, an exchange of value, that you should not leave it up to the person who you are intending to give value to solely to describe for you what value means. As a person who challenges directly, you have to be able to say, or as a person maybe who doesn't, you have to be able to say, does what I'm doing serve you well? Does what I'm doing do it for you? Does how I give to you do for you? Does how I treat you, where I take you, the things that we do together, do these activities serve you well? So that together you can create effective and healthy boundaries. But you got to give yourself permission, if the other person isn't awakened to that, to set boundaries with radical candor to say, I care personally about you and I'm going to challenge you directly about what these boundaries are, what these do's and do more of, and what these don'ts and don't try it mean, and how to serve my personhood in relationship. How to serve my personhood in relationship. I'm talking a little bit tonight for these few minutes as we are coming to the close of April. I'm still doing birthday thank yous for all of you who have wished me happy birthday. I'm almost done. I think I got 500 more. So if I haven't said thank you, I will. And that's important to me to do. And as we're going to the close of the month of April, we're also in the 4th month of the year for our self-care journey. And on this self-care journey, there is an ebook that you can get, and I will drop it in the comments. We started with sleep in month 1. Month 2, we went to eating right. Month 3, marching into physical fitness and exercise. Month 4, we're now into setting healthy boundaries. And typically we think of healthy boundaries as saying no, right? And it is a great way to protect yourself and your time. But it's also saying yes. Yes to what serves you well and to the relationships that serve you well. And this is one that you shouldn't be too foggy about. You got to understand whether or not the time you're investing is a waste of time or something important. And boundaries, as we say in the ebook, do not get enough attention on the road to self-care. One more important thing about these boundaries, imagine going 10 years with these boundaries. Boundaries without effective ones these can adversely impact your stress and health. I think that's so important because self-care is really about, it's really about your well-being. It's about your balance in every area of your life. And if you can't arrive at that balance as it relates to your physical care, your mental care, it's going to impact every other area and aspect of your life. So sometimes you have to step back and set a boundary between you and the people that aren't serving you well so that you can put in place some pathway steps for peace. Self-care is really our love and gratefulness speaking to our worthiness. And if you are worthy, then you have to have a path to equilibrium and peace. Being worthy means you understand that there is value to your place in this earth school. And when you get to the center of that, you're able to sit in some equilibrium or peace. And that's why I say that equilibrium is so inextricably tied to your self-care and tied to these boundaries. Because when you understand your value, right, and what brings you balance and equilibrium and peace, you will be a little more protective about the things and people that traverse across those boundaries, right? So we say in that setting healthy boundaries, one of the things we say in there is practice being direct. Okay? So when it comes to good boundaries, remember this. Hinting doesn't always work well. You got to be direct. And in the situation that we're discussing, hinting that you're faking it is not direct. You got to practice being direct. And you have to practice in the throes of an event or transaction or situation. You got to practice saying, oh, that's not it. Oh, that doesn't serve me well. Here's what serves me well. Let me show you how to do this. Let me tell you what I like more of. Let me tell you what I don't like at all. Let me tell you why I don't like it, where that comes from, what that means to me, how that devalues my personhood. Let me tell you how this affirms my beauty and my personhood. Let me show you how to affirm my beauty and my personhood. You have to start to create for yourself the language of boundaries that says, I will challenge you directly because I care personally about you and me and my ability to bring my best self to you so that I'm not faking it. I wanted to share that, and I invite you to join us. Read this book, Radical Candor, by Kim Scott, and those quadrants of manipulative insincerity, obnoxious aggression, radical candor, which is where we want to get to, and ruinous empathy. And we'll have a chance to talk through it more because we're layering on boundaries. But as I get to the close and to the end, and encourage you to join us inside of Love and Stuff, and thank you for your patience with all the technical difficulties tonight. I don't want you to fake it again. Whatever it is, an orgasm, a relationship, an expression of faith, your commitment to something or someone, an inauthentic expression in response to someone else is faking it. And you don't have to fake it. You can diplomatically, tactfully, and with grace. Challenge directly where you care personally. It will improve your stress levels. It will build your emotional agility, and it will help you stand in healthy boundaries that protect your value and your peace, because you are worthy of the best in every relationship that you participate in. You have a choice to choose to be in that relationship, and you don't need to bring the representative and fake it. You need to bring the authentic self and be it. I'm Marcus Holmes, the love activist. If you've enjoyed this content, I hope that you will do two things. That you will click the bell notification on the top of the Love and Stuff page, and that you will click share and tag other people who might be walking through life faking it and not bringing their authentic self in response to the expressions of others. We can't control who is faking it with us, but we can control how we care personally for them, challenge them directly about what they're bringing into our space and boundaries, so that we remain in value, in personhood, and in peace. Have a great evening, and I hope that you will share this content widely. We'll see you next week. We hope to have Dario Walker, who you may remember was with us in the Love and Stuff community a few years ago and shared from his personal story about his two children who were gripped away from us so tragically. He continues to celebrate their lives, and we want to join him in that celebration. So we'll be checking in with him, and much more to come. Don't forget to inbox us with your show topics and ideas. We love to hear from you in the inbox. Join us tomorrow night for Love and the Scriptures at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Darren Williams, who will lead us through the journey and nuggets of the scriptures about love. And then on Saturday morning, join us at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Kamau and Felix and Sports Talk. If you like sports and you like sports talk, you don't want to miss those two. They have a great show going there. Thank you so much, and we will see and hear from